All right, here we go. These guys wanted to get up early with us this morning. Timmy Legs and Brian Windhorst. Windy, I'm starting with you. There's so many places we can go. Let's get to the crux of it. Who won this deal? Brian Windhorst.
I think both sides can claim victory, and legitimately, Greeny, because Daryl Morey, for 6 months, batted away every single offer that was thrown at him, and there must have been in the hundreds. Watched his team struggle at times and had to listen to all kinds of pressure, and he got his superstar. And a superstar he's comfortable with and knows how to build around. And they elevated themselves from, in my mind, a first-round team to a finals contender in one fell swoop. And then you look at Brooklyn and getting Ben Simmons to a team that's going to get Kevin Durant back, plus a terrific additional piece in Seth Curry and 2 first-round picks that I doubt they'll ever make. They will make additions by trading those picks, is my guess, in the next 18 months or so. Ben Simmons is 7 years younger, signed for much less money. Even though he's not the same player as Harden, he has a bit of a different horizon, and he also plays a lot better defense. Both teams can claim victory. I can't wait to see if they play in the postseason.
Yeah, if they face each other, obviously that could be epic. So let's get into the specific fit here, okay, Legs? Let's talk about what these, because I think you could make an argument on paper. Both teams did get players that fit better with the players around them than the ones that they traded away. So how do you see the fit for Harden playing with Embiid and Simmons with the other stars in Brooklyn?
Well, listen, with Harden and Embiid, you're talking about now the most potent offensive duo in the NBA. And they're going to have to take some time to get that ebb and flow together, because Embiid's never played with a ball-dominant scoring guard like this, and James Harden's never played with a big that was more than a pick-and-dive guy. That's not what Joel Embiid is. So they're going to have to figure out, when to be alpha in this offense. But eventually, you're talking about now a guy that is the most dominant force in the paint and a guy that is unstoppable in the perimeter, and they're paired up, and hopefully they have enough shooting. There's no question that fits. And for Ben Simmons, let's not forget the value that he does bring. I know a lot of people are looking at him now and maybe even wanting him to fail. Bottom line is this: he is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. He's going to take pressure off KD and Kyrie on that end of the floor because he can guard anybody that's hot at the 1 through 4 position. So he's going to protect those guys on that end of the floor, and then he's going to be a guy that's going to get easy shots for not only his star players, but for those role players as well, with his speed and his pace, which is something Brooklyn didn't have a lot of. Ben Simmons brings all of that to the table. And look, they probably got 3 starters in this deal, so the pieces are probably going to fit better in Brooklyn as well. And guys, I'll say the biggest winner of all is the league, because we potentially could have the best rivalry that this league has seen in a very long time. In a league that sorely lacks such rivalries, this could become one overnight.
Yes, imagine the sounds in the arenas when those teams play each other. It doesn't really matter which side they're in, but I will say, book your tickets for a game in Philly. That is for sure when Simmons makes his return. So, Legs, right now, and I've got a Twitter question up about this as well that we can dive into a little bit later. If those teams played each other in the playoffs this year, and we would all sign up for that, who would you pick?
I like Philadelphia right now. Their ceiling, I think, to me, is the highest in the East. I would rank them as the best team in the East. Now, look, it's going to take time. They got to figure it out. But I'm just assuming they're going to be able to do that. The way Embiid has looked this year, his stamina, his conditioning, his determination, his maturity level this year, and now you pair it with a guy like James Harden, I just think they could be an unstoppable force on the offensive end of the floor. Big key for me, they kept Thibault, who's going to be so important if you have to play a team like Brooklyn. This guy right now might be the best perimeter defensive player in the NBA, and you keep him to guard Kevin Durant, to guard Kyrie Irving. That was critical. So I put Philly 1, and actually right now, I might even put Milwaukee slightly ahead of Brooklyn, because Brooklyn's got to figure out some things about Kyrie's availability. Ben Simmons has to show that he can handle the pressure that's going to come with this trade, and just going 90 miles up the road from Philadelphia in another major market and expecting to win a championship. There's a lot of pressure on Ben Simmons as well. He's got to handle that. We're not sure that he can. So I'm going to put Milwaukee 2, Brooklyn at 3 right now. And Miami, who thought they had the best team in the East a little while ago, is now dropped to 4th overnight with 1 trade.
I think that's right. Last week on Countdown, I asked the crew who they liked in the East, and all of them said Miami. We'll see if any of them still feel that way as we go. Meanwhile, Wendy, I feel like someone needs to bring this up to at least some degree. Does James Harden wear any of this? This is two teams in as many seasons that he has basically decided he wanted out of and handled, let's put it kindly, in a questionable way, creating those departures, and he's gotten paid over $80 million to do it, and now goes on to his third team and gets exactly what he wants. Does any of that follow him?
Well, he certainly had to wear it a little bit immediately last night when he was the last pick in the All-Star draft. Right there, you saw the first waves of the backlash. It's longer than just 2 years, Greeny. And if you're looking for a reason in Brooklyn to try to have encouragement about this, partnerships with James Harden and stars have not only gone terribly, but they keep getting shorter and shorter. First, Dwight Howard, which I think was 3 years. Chris Paul, 2 years. Russell Westbrook, 1 year. Durant and Kyrie, and I know there were injuries and stuff, essentially 12 months. So while I agree with Legs that they fit together, if you were making a wager based on that information and the fact that Harden is getting older, you would say maybe it's not going to work out so well.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.